This week, Trump disclosed more than 3,000 stock trades in just the first 3 months of this year, a combined value of up to $750 million. Shares included Nvidia, Apple, Boeing, and Tesla, and the CEOs of all those companies just so happened to be with Trump during his recent trip to China. And we must note, according to a spokesperson for the Trump family business, neither President Trump, his family, nor the Trump Organization plays any role in selecting, directing, or approving specific investments. They receive no advance notice of trading activity and provide no input regarding investment decisions or portfolio management. So, I mean, Catherine, does that clear everything up there? My understanding is, okay, I get it. Trump didn't download the Fidelity app or Vanguard or whatever and do all the trading by himself. I assume they have advisors and folks that they pay for. But does that explain all the questions away? Are you good on that front?
You know, whoever said crime doesn't pay did not anticipate the Trump era. I think that's really the lesson of all of this here. That list of headlines that you just rattled off about stock trading, about the $1.8 billion anti-weaponization. I think we're not supposed to call it a slush fund, but other people have called it a slush fund. Dropping the audit of Donald Trump, not just now, but apparently in perpetuity. Any one of those things, and I've left out a whole bunch of other ones, would have been administration ending, presumably, for any prior administration in any prior era. And we're not there. And it's just... And
in the Trump era, it's just 1 week.
It's just a week. It's just a week. And really, I can't even remember all of these corruption-related headlines because that's part of the reason we have to script them, because it's hard to keep track of all of them. But, you know, it's just so striking. Some of the little factoids that you can pull out of all of this. Just as an example, Trump traded $750 million in the first 3 months of this year. People have been like understandably going kind of berserk about congressional stock trading. Just to put this in context, this is more than the total value of all congressional stock trading over a year combined by every single member of Congress. Trump did it in the first 3 months.
And I think it would have to be 50 trades or so every single day of the first quarter to hit the roughly, I think it's 3,600 trades that were executed on his behalf. The question now that a reporter has to ask, so, Mr. President, have you discussed your financial holdings with anyone with control over your trading portfolio?
There is a whole bipartisan movement in this country built around the idea that members of Congress should not be trading stocks at all because they get information the public does not. And the president just lapped all 535 of them in 3 months. But a big number on its own is not the story. The story is the context around the number. Where was Trump physically standing while this trading happened? Who was traveling with him? Which companies were in that portfolio? And which companies got something from the United States government in the exact same window? Once you line those three things up, the trades, the travel, and the policy, the picture stops looking like a coincidence. Watch this next clip and line it up for yourself.
Right? Like you also have these suspicious trades of whatever it was, $800 million worth of oil trading that happened just a few moments before Donald Trump tweeted something that moved oil markets. We don't know who's benefiting from all of this. And I'm glad that in that particular case, the CFTC is looking into it, and maybe they can figure out if there was a leak, but it certainly smells bad.
Well, the other part of me that just kind of, it reeks of I don't know what the right word is because I don't want to say corruption, but it reeks of just complete inappropriate behavior is you're traveling to China with the CEOs of these companies that you're heavily invested in. You don't even have to say to somebody explicitly, here's the trade. I think just the fact that you are traveling to the country with these CEOs, whoever is managing your portfolio is probably smart enough to read the tea leaves of what you're telling them you're about to do. And I think they're probably anticipating that. I mean, people do that in the open market, but at the same time, just being that close to these CEOs, and I'm sure things come up in conversations in which the president learns information or perhaps tells them about things that he has intentions to do or signals to them things that he wants to try to achieve in China on these trips. And so you just have to wonder how all of this is happening, without any kind of mechanism to prevent corruption or anything even more sinister than that.
And we're supposed to be idiots. We're supposed to take at face value. Oh, you decide to let China buy these Nvidia chips that have been banned, but a week earlier, oh, just total coincidence that you made a multi-million-dollar investment in Nvidia. We're supposed to just believe that like we're total idiots. It is so galling that they think that we're just stupid and that we're going to let them get away with this.
Let me be direct with you for the next few minutes, because the analyst on that panel said something at the end that I cannot stop thinking about. He said they have basically proven they can get away with it. And the worst part is, on the current evidence, he is right. So let us talk honestly about what we are actually looking at. Start with the number, because the number alone should stop you cold. 3,600 stock trades in 90 days, worth up to $750 million. To put that in human terms, that is roughly 50 separate trades executed every single business day of the first quarter. 50 trades a day, by or on behalf of the President of the United States. And the analyst made the comparison that matters most. For the last several years, the American public has been, in her words, going berserk about members of Congress trading stocks. There is a bipartisan movement to ban congressional stock trading entirely because the conflict of interest is so obvious. And Trump, by himself, in 3 months, outtraded the entire Congress for a full year. Every senator, every representative, combined, he beat all of them in a quarter. Now, the Trump family business issued a denial, and I want to take that denial seriously for a moment because it deserves to be examined rather than dismissed. They said Trump does not personally select, direct, or approve specific investments, receives no advance notice, and provides no input. Fine. Let us assume every word of that is technically true. Let us assume Trump is not personally sitting at a terminal clicking buy and sell. Here is why the denial does not actually solve the problem. It might even make it worse, because the conflict of interest in this situation does not require Trump to personally place the trades. The conflict exists in the structure itself. If the president's money is being actively managed by someone, and that someone manages a portfolio heavy in Nvidia, Apple, Boeing, and Tesla, and the president then flies to China with the CEOs of Nvidia, Apple, Boeing, and Tesla, and then the president takes official government actions that benefit those exact companies, the corruption does not need a phone call. The analyst said this perfectly. Whoever manages that portfolio is smart enough to read the tea leaves. They do not need Trump to whisper a tip. They just need to watch what the President of the United States does in public. When the president announces he is traveling to China with the CEO of Nvidia, the portfolio manager does not need insider information. The president's public schedule is the insider information. And then look at the specific sequence with Nvidia, because it is the cleanest example. Nvidia makes the advanced chips that power artificial intelligence. The United States had banned the sale of certain Nvidia chips to China on national security grounds. Then, according to this reporting, roughly a week after a multi-million-dollar investment in Nvidia showed up in Trump's disclosures, the administration moved to let China buy those previously banned chips. Think about the order of operations there. The investment, then the policy that boosts the investment. We are told it is a coincidence. We are told to take it at face value. And the analyst's response to that was the most honest thing said on the entire panel. She said, we are not supposed to be idiots. We are not supposed to look at that sequence and pretend we do not see what it looks like. Then there is the oil trade. $800 million in oil-related trades executed shortly before Trump posted something on Truth Social that moved global oil markets. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission, the CFTC, is reportedly looking into whether there was a leak. And here is the thing about that. Markets move on presidential statements. That is normal. What is not normal is large trades being positioned right before the statement. If someone knew what Trump was going to post before he posted it and traded on that knowledge, that is textbook insider trading. The CFTC investigation will tell us more. But the analyst's phrase was the right one. It certainly smells bad. Now, here is the part I want every American watching this to really absorb, because it is bigger than any single trade. The analyst made the observation that any one of these stories, the $750 million in trading, the $1.8 billion fund, the dropped IRS audit of Trump in perpetuity, any single one of them, in any prior administration, in any prior era of American history, would have been an administration-ending scandal, administration ending. The kind of thing that triggers special prosecutors, congressional investigations, resignations, the kind of thing that dominates the news for a year and defines a presidency in the history books. And in the Trump era, all of them broke in the same week, 1 week. The corruption is arriving faster than the country can process it. That is not an accident. That is a strategy, whether anyone designed it that way or not. When 10 administration-ending scandals break in 7 days, none of them gets the sustained attention that would normally end an administration. The flood is the defense. The volume is the shield. You cannot focus the public's outrage on the stock trading because the slush fund is also in the news. And you cannot focus on the slush fund because the dropped audit is also in the news. And you cannot focus on the audit because there is a new story tomorrow. The scandals protect each other by drowning each other out. So what breaks that cycle? A few things, and I want to be specific. First, the CFTC oil investigation is real and it has teeth. The Commodity Futures Trading Commission is a regulator, not a political body. And if it finds evidence of a leak, that becomes a concrete, narrow, prosecutable fact rather than a vague sense that something smells bad. Watch that investigation. Concrete beats vague every time. Second, the disclosures themselves are the accountability. The reason we know about the 3,600 trades is that financial disclosure law forced them into the public record. That law is doing its job. The trades are documented, the dates are documented, the Nvidia sequence is documented. None of it can be memory holed because it exists in federal filings. Future investigators in a future administration with a functional Justice Department will have all of it. The receipts are permanent. Third, and this is the one that depends on you, the flood the zone strategy only works if the public lets the scandals drown each other out. The counter strategy is to refuse to let any single one get buried. Pick one, just one. The stock trading is a good one because the number is so simple and so damning. 3,600 trades in 90 days, more than all of Congress in a year. Learn that fact, repeat that fact, bring it up in conversation, make it the one that does not get washed away in the flood. If every person watching this video keeps one scandal alive in the public conversation, the volume defense stops working. The analyst said, whoever said crime doesn't pay did not anticipate the Trump era. She meant it as a grim joke. But the deeper truth underneath the joke is that crime only pays as long as the public treats it as normal. The trades, the fund, the audit, the foreign money, the CEOs on the plane, none of it is normal. It only becomes normal if we let the sheer quantity of it numb us. The single most powerful thing an ordinary citizen can do right now is refuse to be numb, refuse to shrug, refuse to say, well, that's just Trump. 3,600 trades, $750 million, 90 days. Hold on to that. Do not let it get washed away by tomorrow's headline. I will see you for the next one.